Welcome. This is Back to the Bins. I'm your host, Mr. B. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you've been here before, thanks so much for coming back, and if you're new here, thanks so much for stopping by. This is a comic book collecting channel, and I'm a comic collector. These Sunday videos are intended to showcase the books I picked up this past week at my local comic shop. I've got a full list, so I'm pretty familiar with what's happening in comics today. I love digging through the back issue bins, and I love digging through the dollar bins. So, if that sounds interesting to you, and you'd like to join me on my journey back to the bins, why don't you take a look over there, and I'll show you what I picked up. Alright, and like I said, these are the books I picked up this past week at my local comic shop, 204 Comics in Winnipeg, and as per usual, we start in alphabetical order, and that takes us to, once again, something new for the collection, something new for your perusal. Here we have Action Comics, number 1075, that's the Sebastian Fiumara cardstock variant. Another cover by, going to be getting these Action Comics with the covers by Fiumara. Really like his work. I've also noticed there's more titles coming with his covers. I'm going to have to say no to a couple of them. I think he's doing something for Catwoman, and I'm really into the Cho covers. But anyway, I really love this artist, and I look forward to finding more of his covers and establishing a nice collection of his work, because that's just fantastic. And I suppose in the highly anticipated section of your comic book shop, there was also the Amazing Spider-Man number 61. Of course, the comic duo of Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr. are no longer on this title. I'm just going to adjust the light a little bit here. Try to get some of that glare off. Okay. Yes, like I said, now it is Ed McGuinness doing the cover and Joe Kelly doing the writing, and I think this is great. And of course, here we've got something that we like to call Doom Patrol. Doom hype is real, even on A covers. There is something brewing in the Marvel Universe, and if you've been taking a look at your FOCs for the upcoming months, there is a lot of Doom. Sticking with Spider-Man, sticking with the variant covers, and again, with more of this Doom Patrol, the Doom hype is real. This is ASM number 61. This is the Gleb Melnikov variant. Absolutely beautiful. Love the reflection of both Doom and Spidey. This is great stuff. This is a classic Spider-Man cover. I'm happy to see Doom on a Spidey cover, because I love Doom as an enemy to Spider-Man. I like that. All right, heading back over to DC now. We've got Batman Gotham by Gaslight. The Kryptonian Age number 6. This is a Javier Fernandez variant cover. I like this book. It's a fun book, and it's got a cool cover, so I'm always happy when I can add to the fun and cool Batman covers. And look at this. Fantastic. Cool old-timey suit. I love, yes, of course, the utility belt is literally a utility belt. That is just good stuff. Love that. Sticking with DC and sticking with Batman. Again, just for the cover here on this one, I'm reading Gotham by Gaslight, but just for the cover, this is Batman Uncovered number 1. That's, of course, a David Nakayama cover. I couldn't say no to this. I pointed out a couple of weeks ago, I think, on a Batman title that this one was coming because it's kind of a sister piece to it, I guess, if we can call it that. Definitely Nakayama sort of keeping the theme with his Batman that he's been doing. But this is just a book of covers, of Batman covers, at least from how I remember what Uncovered is. But that cover just knocks me out to begin with. This was a cool cover, and super hyped that this was an A cover. I think it was the best one of the bunch this week. This is DC vs. Vampires World War V issue number 4. It's an Otto Schmidt A cover, of course, and this is a cool book, too. Really having fun reading this, and I loved this cover. For an A cover, it's great. You got Green Arrow and Black Canary. You got the Spectre. Like, this is just a very classic Who's Who kind of cover. I love the green. It really pops. All this is very cool. Beautiful art style. Can't wait to read that one. Oh, yeah, here we go. Then over to the back issue bins. Haven't said that for a while. We've got a classic issue of Fantastic Four.
Well, it's about
This is issue number 317 from April of 1988. That's a Ron Friends cover. Cool thing about this one It's a newsstand Spider-Man book variant. I don't know if that's unique to Canada or it just kind of varied from wherever you were getting these comics, but I love that. Pretty cool. Black suit Spidey, very neat. Nice to add to the Fantastic Four collection. And in keeping with the dollar bins, here we got some more GI Combat adding to the collection, just post Remembrance Day, post Veterans Day. This is GI Combat number 287 from January of 1987. Classic Joe Kubert cover, newsstand. I love these rockets coming out of the skull. A lot of skull imagery on GI Combat, I've noticed. Super cool, love that. It's a little beat up here, maybe there as well, I guess. But whatever, it's a beater copy. Maybe one day I'll find a new one, but I think the imagery still pops. It looks cool, and for a cover collector, sometimes that's all that matters. In keeping with our good pal, the back issue bins, or I should say, the dollar bins. Come on, this is Tales of G.I. Joe number 14 from February of 1989. That's a Herb Trimpe cover, and this is a reprint of G.I. Joe number 14. And I can't say no to a classic G.I. Joe story. Even if it's Tales of G.I. Joe, that's fine. I think I have issue 14, but I want to try to complete the G.I. Joe run, and that even includes something like Tales of G.I. Joe. So, super cool there. Of course, one of the big anticipated books this week was G.I. Joe and G.I. Joe's emergence into the Energon universe. So here we have G.I. Joe number 1.
Whoa.
This is a beautiful Lee Bermejo variant. Like, come on. Cobra Commander, you got Duke in the visor. This is just spectacular. I love it. I'm not going to read this title. I was reading the previous iteration of G.I. Joe, and I didn't really care for it. I'm a classic G.I. Joe Marvel fan. I love this because I love these characters. I love the covers, but I'm cool with not going through G.I. Joe in the Energon universe. Maybe I'll trade it up at some point. But there were some great covers, and of course I had to keep that. This is one of the first ones I pulled from the collection. This is, again, G.I. Joe number 1, but this is Sozo Mako cover variant here. I love her work. I talk about her every time. She's just fantastic, and I was super happy to see her doing the Baroness. And from what I gather, the Baroness is now working for G.I. Joe, so kind of cool to see her there. I'm sure she's going to go to Destro at some point. That's got to happen. The old shopkeep was a good man when me and another guy were in the shop talking about our G.I. Joe stuff because we were hyped to get it, and we both didn't get one of the ones that we ordered. And he said, I think that's coming next week. But then he's like, okay, hold on a second. He went and grabbed the boxes. He looked through them, and he found this for both of us. I got to bend that cover there. Okay, here we go. This is awesome. This is, again, G.I. Joe number 1. This is an Andrea Milana Cobra Commander mask die-cut foil cardstock variant. This has all the bells and whistles, folks. If I was a card salesman, I would be selling this thing to the moon. I love, look at all that great glare off the chrome. So awesome. This is an iconic look for Cobra Commander. I'm still a hooded Cobra Commander guy, but I know everybody loves the old helmet here. Still super cool. I love it. Maybe even a consideration for getting graded. I love that. That Lee Bermejo cover, too. Possibly cover of the year.
Thank you.
This is a cover that really impresses me. I really love this book, too. It's very interesting. This is Huge Detective issue number 3. That is a Magenta King variant. Yeah, it's an interesting tale about giant people who reemerged back on Earth, or back on the Earth. Yeah, I guess. And they've teamed up with some regular humans to solve murder. And it looks like maybe the giant people have something to do with it. I really like this book. It's fun. And again, independent stuff is just that much more different and sometimes that much more fun. And back to the dollar bins. Here we go. I had to get this too because it was right after Remembrance Day. And this is Semper Fi, issue number 3 from October of 1988. That's a John Severin cover. And this is a World War I story. That was why when I saw it, I was really intrigued. I love World War I and World War II comics. I remember I had Semper Fi number 1. I think my dad bought it for me back in 1988 or whenever that was, would have been. And yeah, just never kept up with it, but I was happy to find this one in the dollar bins. A little beat up again too, but that doesn't matter. Just super cool to have, and it'll be part of my November 11th remembrance every year. And here we go, more goodies from the dollar bins, my favorite TV show of all time. This is The Twilight Zone, issue number 50 from June of 1973. So I guess we got a milestone issue here. Of course, that's on gold key, the way it should be. And that is a George Wilson cover. And Walt Simonson doing the interiors. Classic Walt Simon stuff. I'll just give it a bit of a page turn here. What do we got? There we go. Love that little war story in there too. Super cool. Yeah, I'm collecting these. These are just real beaters, but happy to see some low number gold key Twilight Zone, which is why I also grabbed this one from the dollar bins. This is the Twilight Zone issue number 67 from November of 1975. Couldn't find any information on who did the cover, which is too bad because I really like this one. I've had this one bookmarked for quite some time as a cover buy. And again, this one's pretty beat up. That's why it was in the dollar bins. But, you know, for now, it's cool. I'd love to get a nice, relatively nice shape, you know, maybe half run of the Twilight Zone, the first 50 issues or something. And until then, we'll just keep collecting the ones we find. And this one right here is issue number 87 from October of 1978. Obviously, pretty beat up. But yeah, this is, I think, the second issue where the new Twilight Zone logo popped up. Pretty neat there. No big milestone or anything, but I love it. Love the show. Fantastic. Back to the pull list. It's a nice week for comics, folks. We got Ultimate X-Men number 9. This is the Peach Momoko design variant. Been collecting the design variants alongside her other variant covers that she's been doing because I love Peach Momoko. Love this book too. Super stoked to keep reading it. I'm a few issues behind, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Holidays are around the corner. I'm going to devote some time to really sitting down and reading my books. And here we go. Last issue is the Uncanny X-Men. Issue number 5. That's a Luciano Vecchio variant. I love that. Been collecting the Vecchio variants for this series. I'm going to get the whole team. There's even a Dazzler one coming up on the Dazzler title, and I thought, well, I just got to get it. I got to complete it, right? Get all the mutants together. And yeah, so that's going to be on the reading list as well. But until then, folks, that is everything. And how about we get back to the real world, shall we? Well, that was a great stack of books. Hopefully you enjoyed what you saw. And if you did, why don't you like, comment, and subscribe? It really helps to build the channel, and I'd love to develop a community of people who just really love comics. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week. And until then, remember, comics are good.